YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, back on Total War Rome 2. This time it's going to be a Rome versus Rome. My opponent and I got into the game, and he asked if it would be fun for it to be Rome versus Rome. And I was like, sure. Not really my favorite way to play a matchup, but for me, when I was thinking Rome versus Rome, I was like, man, it's going to be all about the infantry spam. But how you infantry spam is going to make the difference between victory and defeat. Bringing cavalry units or spear units or anything else is going to be a major risk in a Rome versus Rome battle, because really Rome is all about heavy swordsmen. So I brought a main line of, I believe, 6 legionary cohorts. I brought them because they have 90 armor. And then I've got 6 Hastati, which this is a little bit risky because these guys are not near as good as like the heavier Romans, but I figured the numbers may help me outflank. And then I've got 3 veteran legionaries. So I went with this. I could have brought way more veteran legionaries, armored legionaries, all that other stuff, but I was worried about potentially getting outflanked if my opponent brought lots of infantry. So I brought lots of infantry. Let's see. On his end, I can already see several Vigiles, and this made me happy because these guys are going to be worthless when it comes to an infantry fight, and I need that. But he's still got a number of very good units here. I mean, he's got a Hastati over here, but let's take a look. So Legionary Cohort, Evocati, Legionary, Evocati, Legionary, Evocati, Legionary. Overall, he has 4 Evocati, and then the rest are Legionaries and Hastati. So when it comes to just straight up sword numbers, when we take a look at the heaviest infantry, we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So he's got 11 of the heavier sword infantry, and I want to say that I've only got 9. But I have 4 more Hastati, 4 more Hastati, 3 more Hastati than he does. And these Vigiles are going to be a liability for him, these two, unless he can use them to kill my Equites Extraordinari. And basically I brought the Equites Extraordinari thinking, alright, I've got a ton of infantry. All I need to do is set him up for a hammer and anvil blow in a couple of spots, and I used what was left of my money just to bring a couple of Velites. Was tempted to bring more Hastati, but I'd already spammed Hastati pretty hard. I'm going to just chase his Syrian archers back. My opponent bringing this Scorpion is an interesting choice. It's actually not a bad idea. You could use it to snipe an enemy general, but it's taking up a slot that could potentially be filled by a Roman infantry, and that's potentially risky in a Rome versus Rome as well. You can see his Scorpion's already firing away at my Equites Extraordinari, and it's getting kills. So he's killed 6 of them. This is bad for me. So when it comes to a head-to-head fight down the center here, I'm going to have a rough time because he's got more Evocati here in the center to fight my legionary cohorts. I left 1 veteran legionary to support, but then I've had to put 1 veteran legionary on each flank too, otherwise my Hastati are going to be overmatched on the flank. So I'm trying to line up and go ahead and start an engagement. I don't want my opponent to have a chance to fire with his skirmishers or his scorpions. So I'm going to go ahead and come in. Yep, see, I was kind of hoping for this, that my Velites would get in the way of enemy Pila. It looks like I had a misclicked charge order here, so that's going to be very bad for me. Did fine over here, legionary on legionary, legionary on legionary. But yeah, I mean, see how he's got overloaded with the heaviest infantry here. I'm going to have to bring in this veteran legionary. This is going to be a rough battle for me momentarily. But over here, his Hastati is outnumbered, and my Cav is swinging around the flank. And then I'm going to engage him over here, you know, head on with his Hastati with mine. Catch this guy. I'm bringing in the veteran legionary. I thought I had selected Caesar, and I certainly should have, but somehow I ended up with this stupid scare general, warrior general, whatever it is. It's going to be crappy. Anyway, I'm going to bring my Equites Extraordinari in for a rear charge here. Try and get rid of this Hastati quick so that my men can move on from this fight and begin outflanking other infantry units. The fighting is taking place faster than I thought it would in certain areas. His legionary cohort here is destroying mine for some reason. Mine acts like it's trying to come over here into the back of this one for some reason, so I'm getting attacked in the rear. Maybe? I don't know what the deal is. And then up front, one of my legionaries got teamed up and just got destroyed. And I have 1 veteran legionary here trying to help take down the Evocati cohort. My Velites are here, but I mean, this is not going real well for me. Not to start with, but I did manage to get all these Hastati free to start moving up on the flank. So I'm going to pour some Hastati in here and try and hold this fight up so that this veteran legionary doesn't get overwhelmed too quickly. It's not doing well in its current engagement. So I'm losing a lot of troops here early on, and this was not looking good for me. I was like, geez, man, I'm going to end up losing this. I'm trying to get my Equite Extraordinari around here. I probably could have just run a couple of cycle charges to destroy the Vigiles, but wasn't super worried about it, I guess. Now, my Hastati will start trading fairly well over here because they're in great numbers, and they're going to be surrounding these heavier infantry, so they will actually do pretty good. And I've got the nice rear charge lined up here in the center. I'm going to get a lot of kills on these Roman troops with the rear charge from that equite. I didn't leave it there long enough to actually rack the kills up, though. Oh, it's because the enemy general was chasing me, and I could end up getting hemmed in. So my opponent's trying to throw his superior local numbers at me, so I've got to get this cavalry out of here. I ended up getting 47 kills. That was not bad at all, actually. So that kind of helped even this fight out some in my favor, and part of the kills I got there was Assyrian archers who got bunched up in that. You can see him just running his Vigiles around like crazy, trying to keep me from getting an advantage on him. I see another opportunity to potentially come in here for some rear charges, but again, I have to be careful of his Vigiles. They won't really damage my men quickly, but they could get in the way of my charge and bog my cavalry down long enough that it turns into a bad deal for me. Here in the center, though, I've kind of started to gain some advantage, fortunately. His Scorpion's still firing away, though fortunately it's not getting a lot of kills. I need to get around his Vigile here and swing back over to this side of the fight. My Hastati will actually finish this off pretty well versus the legionary cohorts there. I'm going to chase his general back. He's going to be forced to use his rally here because he thought he was going to die. So the enemy Legatus is almost dead. Of course, my Legatus is almost partly dead as well. And over here, I'm losing this fight to an Evocati and a Legionary with all these Hastati, but that's a good hold-up, holding up enemy forces for quite a while. This Legionary cohort is trying to hold on. And I'm going to get another rear charge over here versus this Legionary cohort that's going to wipe it out. And I'm going to pull straight through my own men back to safety over here because I knocked the Romans down. And that should hopefully get the enemy general or other units caught on my infantry as they go through here. Though these formations are kind of funky right now, so I don't know if I'm really expecting it to work too well. Yeah, so still looking pretty bad for me at the moment. We've got 3 enemy units over here mopping up my guys. My Legatus is not in good shape. That archer pops up out of the woods where it had come back from routing, took a shot at me, and I was like, man, I thought he was going to kill my general. So I've got to get rid of the heavy archer, but I finally break up this fight here in the center, and I've got a veteran legionary and a legionary cohort free, and I've got all 3 Hastati free from this flank, and his general is now overextended, as well as his Vigiles. So this is the point at which his Vigiles are going to start to cost him. I got a Pilotos into his general. The general did not die yet, though. And I'm going to intercept his Vigiles. Here I'm taking on a legionary cohort, but my numbers will allow me to win that with the Hastati. And then I'm going to take out his Scorpion here. Here my veteran legionaries get into the Vigiles as well. The Syrian archer was killed. And in the center I'm should be able to wipe out this legionary cohort. And now these Hastati held on for so long over here, which they have paid their cost back, that those units are still stuck. And this is going to allow me to come in and rear charge this one Evocati cohort, which represents a substantial force left for my opponent. And I've got so many numbers of infantry left, though, with the combination of a couple of shock cav units still in the field, that I now have the tools to finish this fight. I'm going to get a pretty good rear charge here on the Evocati cohort. We'll kill a few of them. Yeah, you can see some of them drop. Evocati have so much health and armor and stuff, though, that you can't just stay there. So I'll just hit and run, and we'll pick their numbers down. I gotta make sure that this legionary cohort doesn't get here in time to throw javelins at me. I can now chase his general away too, keep his general from being able to influence the fight. So again, over here his Vigiles are getting wrapped up pretty badly by my Hastati. This Vigile, though, somehow just straight up comes and wins this infantry fight versus my Hastati. I don't know if it's because my guys are so tired or worn out or something by this point, but his Vigiles are actually winning the current combat. I have no idea how that's even possible. Okay, this legionary cohort has gotten itself overextended, so now it's going to get sandwiched by 2 units of Equites Extraordinary. My guys almost passed right through it because they were spread so thin as it is. Yeah, he'll get hit from both sides by the Equites Extraordinary, so then that's another infantry unit off the field. This Evocati cohort is now getting ganged up on by Hastati and veteran legionaries, and then there's cavalry immediately behind it. My own general is going to come in here, and I'm going to use that crappy scare ability to try and get rid of that Evocati. And then over here, due to the morale effect or something, these Hastati actually went out in that fight with 122 kills, doing very well in that engagement. So it ends up being a pretty close fight. I used the fear here, and I intimidated his general to make sure that he couldn't use any rallies or raise banners or anything else. But yeah, check it out. That Vigile beats my Hastati. Very odd engagement. But yeah, this cavalry ended up being pretty key for me there in the late game. Had I not brought the cavalry, this late game would have turned against me. So it started out very nice for my opponent because in the early matchups he got what he needed, but there towards the late game, the tools like these Vigiles ended up to start to lose their value as his infantry was starting to be picked apart, and I got charges. These guys are awful in combat, so they ended up not being able to pay out for him in the end. But it was a very close fight nonetheless. I got a few more kills than him. Not many, but we managed to do it. So again, you can see that as far as quality, he had the advantage with overall infantry, but I had those numbers. The numbers came in handy. These Velites didn't end up doing anything. The Equites Extraordinari ended up being pretty important for me. This one veteran legionary performed very well. The others got trounced. And really it was my Hastati who carried the day for the army, believe it or not. 232 on this one, 160, 149, 122. For such a cheap unit, those were the kills that really actually swayed this battle into my favor. Where, as you can see for my opponent, his Evocati did pretty well overall. His Hastati got wrecked, and then his legionary cohorts on average were doing better than mine. So again, it was actually the Hastati and the cavalry that pulled this one out for me, surprisingly enough. Wouldn't have expected that at the beginning. Hope you all enjoyed this. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.